What's up everyone, this is G The Hypersapien, and in this video we're going to paint up the Squigboss in the scheme of Doctor Doom from Marvel Comics. So this is going to be known as Dr. Shroom. What I do the Squigboss because I wanted to get some of my Gloomspite gits painted up. Now as I was building this one, I'm like, oh, how should I paint this? And then I just saw that he's got these big metal plates and he's got this metal face. And as I was building it, I'm like, that looks like Doctor Doom from Marvel Comics. So let's paint this up in Doctor Doom's colours. And obviously we're going to have to add a few more colours for the weapons and the squig and whatever. Let's paint this up. Dr. Shroom. It's all doom and gloom and shroom up in here. Okay, so we're going to just slap on the silver. So we're just going to go over all of the metallic areas with silver. So this includes, well, I guess he's even got, what, shoulder pads. He's got these gloves or, you know, these braces here, the face, the shoes or the boots. And the squig has this metal plate on his head. And also we're going to fill in this weapon. We'll do this silver. There's a few little trinkets. I'll probably do them gold. But anyway, this is all quite simple stuff, just base coating with the silver. So we're just going to go around, do all the silvers. Okay, so I've got some black wash from Citadel, the good old Nuln oil. And I did add a bit of water to this as well. So we've got a fairly thinned down wash. We're just going to go around. We're just going to put it over all of the metallic, just to bring out some of these details really. We don't want to darken it down too much. That's why I decided to add some water to it. Yeah, you can see already on this squig mask, it's bringing out all the details. And it's just adding shadows to some of those recesses. But we're going to go around, we're going to do this all over the model. Then we're going to add some silver highlights back, just to bring it back up to a brighter colour. We're going to add some chrome on some of the raised areas. And even on some of the flat areas, most likely, because I want this to be quite a bright chrome or silver colour. You know, on most areas, they're quite big surfaces, so it's fine. But you don't want it to pull in these areas like the eye socket. You want to add a little bit of shadow in there, but you want to make sure the detail, like the eyeball, is still showing. So we'll go around and we'll add our black wash all to the silver, and then we'll start adding our highlights. Okay, so I've let the wash dry. And yeah, it's brought out a lot of detail, especially in some of these recess areas. But now we're going to start layering this up with our silver. So I'm using the Vallejo metal color range. Obviously you can use any silver or chrome from any companies that obviously you prefer. You want to go around and just sort of touch on the raised areas mainly. He does have some flat surfaces like here. You know, you want to still brighten those up. And if we have a look on top of his arm here, like this area for example, we obviously still want to catch that with our silver. You basically want to go around and leave some of that shade in the recess areas, but we do want to pick out a lot of this. So we're setting this up for our chrome, which will be our next highlight. It might even be ideal to mix in some chrome with our silver, just so we can gradually move up to the chrome. I'll just show you a few more areas obviously that I'm going to be working on with the silver. Then we'll add the chrome and then we'll move on to other elements. We've already spent a fair bit of time, you know, doing the silver. So when it comes to the fingers, you obviously want to go along the finger, but you do want to leave... You want to go along the finger, but obviously you do want to leave some of that shade or that black, we'll call it, in between the fingers. So we just go along, we just pick out all of that, and then we'll just take our time on some of these flat surfaces. So we do want to leave in the shadow area some of that black, you know, where it's really under his arm or even on his face. We're going to leave some of that black, but with the face we're going to pick out obviously the nose, this beard we'll call it, and his cheek areas. So we'll go around the model and we'll do this all over, and then we'll come back and we'll add some chrome. Okay, so I've gone around and I mixed in some of the chrome with the silver and I started adding that, and also I did do a little bit of the chrome work. So basically the metallics are looking quite nice now. I'm pretty happy with them. Now I'm going to go around with the black wash and add it into some of the recess to help it read a little bit better. So, you know, I want to put in some of that black wash here. Now we're not going to water down this wash, we're just going to try and bring out some of these elements, some of the shapes. So I'm going to go around in between the fingers. I'm going to add a little bit more under the armor. Where else I feel like I might need it, like around these rivets here, you know, just add a little bit of the wash here just to help them read and stand out more. What I'm going to do next is the next biggest component of the model besides the metallics. We're going to do the nice green robe on Dr. SHROOM. So we're going to do a fairly similar colour to what they use on Dr. Doom. I'm going to use Warpstone Glow, then I'm going to throw on a green wash, and then we're just going to highlight it up again. We're going to do all of the robes now with the Warpstone Glow. We're just going to go around and we're just going to add all of this colour. See, this is a really nice green. It's already sort of helping that chrome and those metallics pop. So go around, take your time. Try your best not to get it onto any of the metallics that we just did. But if you do get any of the green on the metallics, try and get a fresh brush just to soak up some of that paint. If it does happen to dry, you'll just have to wait and then try and fix it up with your silver and your chrome later on. But we're going to take our time and just go around and be careful and just do all of this clothing with our Dr. Doom green. So I'll be back after I do that, then I'll add the wash and show you what that looks like. And then after that we'll layer it back up with this colour, and we might do a highlight, but we'll see what it looks like after we add the wash. So I'm going to use the Biltan green wash, and we're just going to slap this all over. Just make sure it doesn't pool in any areas. You know, some of this fabric, some of these folds, just make sure it doesn't collect too much in there. As you can see, it is starting to look more like Dr. Doom now. So I probably should use this painting handle just so it's easier to see without my hands getting in the way. Also, because it's such a small model, you know, sometimes it's nice just to hold the model. But I'll try and use the painting handle from now on, just so my hands aren't all over the model. So just like the green we added before, try not to get this on any of the metal areas. And you don't need to overload your brush. So it's time to layer up some Warpstone Glow. So I mainly want to focus on the folds, and we want to leave the shadow obviously in the shadow area in the recesses. So this is fairly translucent paint, so we're going to have to do this a few times. So put some on, wait for it to dry, put some more on, wait for it to dry, more on, wait for it to dry, put some more on, wait for it to dry. But yeah, we just want to basically clean up, and if any goes into the recess a little bit too much like that, just clean your brush off and just wipe it up or soak it up. But yeah, we're going to go around and we're just going to layer this up. I feel like I might put in a bit of moot green just to brighten this up. It's probably going to be about a 2:1 ratio, but we want more warpstone, and we just want to add a little bit of moot green to the mix. But I'm going to go around and do first all of the warpstone highlight, and then I'll add just a little bit of moot green, which is quite a bright green, to this Warpstone Glow. And then we're going to just focus that more on, you know, the most prominent folds, just to have a bit of a variation. Okay, so I spent some time on the green cloak. So basically I added moot green to the warpstone glow. So it was about 2:1 ratio, but it's time to move on to the red elements. Now there is quite a lot of red because I did add some mushrooms to the bases. Now Games Workshop do the mushrooms on his shoulders. They do them like they're glowing blue. But I'm going to do these red as well. We're going to do these reds, the mushrooms on the base, that is. There's some more on the back here. The mushrooms on his staff here, because they're a different type of mushroom, we're going to do them more of a brown, cream sort of colour. The mushroom that he's standing on the base, we'll do that a nice big red mushroom. And also the squig is going to be red. So the red we're going to use for everything first is corn red. So we're going to go around and base coat all of this in corn red. Now the mushrooms are going to bring them up to a brighter red. So I'm going to use Mephiston red on the mushrooms and on the squig. But on the mushrooms, I'm going to bring them up to an Evil Sun Scarlet. So they're going to get one more step to be more bright. And then we'll add the iconic white dots on those red mushrooms, just like the old night goblins from Warhammer Fantasy. Okay, so I've gone around and base coated all of the corn red, so on the squig and the mushrooms, and I did base coat the base. So I did that with Fondia brown, so it's a nice muddy looking brown. I thought I'd point it out, but it's kind of obvious, you know, if you're watching the video you'll see that all of a sudden this went brown. So I just thought I'm doing all of the mushrooms and the squig feet. I didn't want to, you know, put so much effort and time into them and then have to awkwardly paint the ground. So I thought I'd paint the ground, but we're going to obviously add more colours to this later on. So I thought it'd be easier to put the base coat down for the ground and then we can continue the mushrooms. As I mentioned before, we're going to layer the red up with Mephiston red, but first I'm going to throw on a wash, especially for the squig. I just want to bring out some of these details. You know, the mushrooms not as much, but we will put a wash over them as well. So we will throw it all over the squig. This is just to bring out the details and make that red a little bit richer in the shadow areas. But we'll go around and we'll do it all over the squig and obviously over all the red mushrooms, and then we'll jump back and we'll start to layer this up. But you can already see it's bringing out the folds and the definition in the squig. Just make sure it doesn't pull on the flat areas. You know, you want to leave some of that shade in the recesses, but just pull it around and move it around the model. You don't want it to collect too much in one area. That's a good thing about using a big brush if you can with the shade, because it holds a fair bit of paint and you're just able to move it around. So that's what we're looking for right about here, where you can see some shade in the recesses but the flat areas don't have all this pull in. And then we'll do it all over the mushrooms as well. Okay, so I've let the wash dry. I've gone around and I've done Mephiston over all of the mushrooms. I might do another coat, we'll see how we go, but with the mushrooms we are going to bring that up with Evil Sun Scarlet. So basically with the mushrooms I just followed the shape. With this mushroom I went up and down and I did leave some of the shadow, so you can see in some of the creases I've left the dark colour, but we'll bring that up a little bit more. Obviously with more Mephiston and Evil Sun Scarlet. I've done the ones on the shoulders. So with the squig we want to leave a lot of these folds dark. So if you see I'm leaving this fold in between these two bits of skin here. Basically like that. Leave the shadow here where the body meets the face, so we jump across that and we start adding the layer here. He does have a few scars, so where the scar is, we want to go around it, basically like this, and just fill it in Like a colouring book, you just want to fill in the areas that you want a brighter red. Leave the scar. Again, where the leg meets the body, we want to leave the shadow. So basically here we want to add the bright red. Jump again where the fold is, and again add the red. Now it might look a bit weird now, so we'll go around and we'll do it all, but once it dries it will kind of blend together. Might need to do a few thin layers to get to where we want. So I'll show you here again. We want the bright on top, but when you get to the fold you jump and you leave it. Take your time, go around, do this all over, and then we'll come back. So now we've gone around and we've done all of the squig and the mushrooms. So you can see that there's some shadow areas if we look underneath. There's the corn red underneath. On top we have the mephiston. I've left some of the dark areas in the shadows and the recesses. Okay, it's time to start layering up the mushrooms. Let's put on Evil Sun Scarlet. So you want to basically aim this more towards the top of the mushroom. So we'll go around all of the mushroom and we'll layer them up. So we're using a fairly thinned down paint. So you do want to take a little bit of the excess off on your hand or maybe a piece of cloth. But we're going to go around and we're going to do this all over. Comes to the one he's standing on, because it's more flat, we're going to go up and down like this, but we do want to leave some of the dark in the recess here, so we're going to jump across. So we're going to jump across and go around that, and also when it comes to the staff or his weapon, we are going to leave some of the dark around that, just so it looks like shadows. Going to go all the way into here, but as it gets into his body it doesn't matter if you put as much paint, because that will be in the shadow area. And just be careful with the ones up here. It's not too hard, but just, you know, make sure you don't get it onto the silver. We can tidy this up later. You know, there is a couple of little mistakes I've made myself, so when we get to the end of the model I'll clean up some of the silver that I've spilt some of the paint on. Basically the same, go from the bottom to the top. And with the more rounded ones you can just come from above and just basically put some in the center. Well, we'll go round and we'll do all of this over the model and then we'll come right back. Okay, just to get a few things done, we're just going to smash out a few base coats. So I'm going to do the spear and the staff, or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to do this wood part. I'm going to do it World Bearers red. It's kind of a little bit of a nod back to the old night goblins who used to have their spears and stuff as red, but I'm going to keep it a little bit more realistic than doing a bright red, and obviously I don't want it to clash with the mushrooms, but it'll blend in quite nicely being a sort of brownish red. I was going to do it Doom Ball brown, but for some reason I can't seem to find my paint. I'm going to do the straps and his bag as Mournfang brown. We're going to do the teeth Mournfang brown, so we're going to go over all the Squig's teeth with Mournfang and this strap as well. Can't see it that well, but the skull we base coated the same colour that we did the ground, which was Faundia brown, but we're going to do that in Mournfang as well. And we'll just leave the eyes and any shadow areas with the darker brown. Also, we're going to do any of the stalks on the mushrooms. We'll do that with our Mournfang as well. So we'll smash out a few base coats and then we'll come back. So we're going to do the red. We just want to bring out some of these details. So just a quick red over this. You just want to avoid those mushrooms on here because we're going to do that with the sepia. But you can see that it's really brought out some of these details. You know, that wood grain and just that texture. We're going to base coat the ears with Warboss green, and then we'll do a little bit of a highlight with Skarsnik green. Nice and easy. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on the Squigboss, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. But there you have it, that's Dr. Shroom. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to help support the channel, I have affiliate links in the description box below. I have affiliate links, I have merch, I have, you know, PayPal and buy me a coffee and all that sort of good stuff. If you do want to help support the channel, all the money will go back in to making more content on the channel, and I really will appreciate it. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, if you could please like, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a video. This was G The Hypersapien, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers.